generation. And my mother used to describe it as living in a kind of solitary confinement. She used to say, when my generation were young women and we were all being accused of getting up to all sorts of sexual naughtiness, my mother used to say, oh, you know, they go on about all these single parents. She said, my generation were single parents. We did it on our own. Fathers were visitors to their families. Fathers fought for their right to be providers rather than parents. In the crucial years, I just would guide you to a fantastic book called Even a New Jerusalem, which explains, it's a parallel to the great book by Edward Thompson, The Making of the English Working Class. And what she describes is the historic struggle between men and women over access to the new capitalist industrial form. And she describes the consequences of the defeat of the women and the purge of women from the labour market and the political consequences of that purge, because what it did was to produce a labour market that presumes the unpaid labour of a woman at home on her own. Whoever said that this work should be unpaid and solitary? Whoever said that this work is valued but no value attaches to it? It doesn't make sense. And then we have a situation like the one that you've described, where of course men feel embarrassed by, if they're single parents, operating in a world largely populated by women. I have to say I've got a personal feeling about this now, which is I'm a grandparent, and for the first time in my whole life worked part-time because I did childcare every day. So I feel very well educated in mother care and what little boys wear and all of that stuff, and staggered by a culture that has emerged, and anybody who's a parent in here will be very familiar with it, which is an obsession with pink and inertia and aristocracy, being a princess if you're a girl, and an obsession with boys being trouble. There are little t-shirts for boys in mother care as we speak that got trouble written all over them. Why haven't they got nice written all over them? And I witnessed a terrible crisis for my grandson, whose first great love in the world, apart from his parents and me and everybody who loves him, was when he was thinking about who were going to be the characters in Dora the Explorer. Dora the Explorer, for those of you who don't know, it's a very popular kids thing, and Dora is a bilingual explorer, and she's got these two pals who I think are male, called Diego and Boots. And he was telling us all who we had to be. Normally, up until this point, till he was about 2.5, he would want to be Dora. And suddenly he's found out what boys and girls are, and what attaches to being boys and girls are. And we were talking about this one day, and we said, who's going to be Dora then? And there was complete silence. And he said, silence. And then he said, but you can be Dora. Now Dora's got all the power in Dora the Explorer, and he was faced with this crisis, which was, did he have the power, or was it more important to adhere to masculinity? Terrible that at 2.5 he knows that's a crisis.